What's going on, everybody? Happy freaking Thursday. Coach Stefan here. I know we have some new people in the group. If you don't know who I am, my name is Stefan Coons. I'm the owner of Pursue Health and Performance, and we are a veteran-owned fitness and nutrition company that helps you guys, military, first responders, medical professionals, get jacked and ripped. No, that's, well, kind of, but really it's our statement is, number one, we serve those who serve others. We know you guys are busy. We know you put yourself, the mission, your family first. So what we want to help you do is burn fat. Okay, I know a lot of you guys are trying to lose weight, burn fat, build muscle, and increase your performance. And for a lot of you guys, it is like passing your PT tests and getting taped and measured, right? But also, I know you have personal goals outside of duty. I totally get that. Do I want you to be fit for duty? Hell yeah. But also, I want you to look good naked and feel sexy and fit good in your clothes and all the other goals that you want to achieve in your life. Be healthy for your family. Go to the doctors, have your doctor tell you, dude, you're awesome. You had a good blood markers, good blood pressure, all that stuff. So a lot of that comes from nutrition, right? The biggest thing we see with our first responders that are in our program, and just some of you guys I chat with, I know I do a lot of texting through our business phone. I know we do a lot of like messaging through Instagram, primarily Facebook though. And so what I want to do is I want to walk you through how to eat on shift. So don't look at this yet, just right here, okay? I want to go through a couple mindset things with you because none of the things I'm about to share, and I'm going to show you actually exactly what foods to eat. Okay, so stay tuned, don't go anywhere. But what I want to go through like 2 minutes of mindset, and I promise we'll get to the meat and potatoes. When you are on shift as a shift worker, right? And this could work for if you work 8 hours, but for a lot of the people that work 12-hour shifts, okay, the first responder community specifically and medical. My wife's a nurse, so I get the whole like working 12s, and really it's like a 14-hour day, maybe even a 15. Number one, there's no way around bringing food, okay? It doesn't have to be meal prepped chicken, broccoli, and rice. That's not what I'm saying, but you need to bring food with you. Now, I have talked to some people that are like, hey, there's a really healthy option. I could go eat a Chipotle bowl with light carbs. It's right outside the base. Or, hey, I can, my work has a cafeteria that has really healthy food. You can do that. You can absolutely do that. But for a lot of you guys, you're not going to have that available. For some of the law enforcement we work with, guess what? They're out in a squad car and what's available? I guess, fast food and the gas station. So there's not a whole lot. And the biggest issue with that, obviously you can guess, is the fact that there's just crappy processed food available. So I'm going to teach you guys a couple things. Number one, you have to bring food. If you say, well, how do I meal prep? Like, I'm not going to go into that too much. But basically what I did when I worked shift work, because I worked a lot in the military. Generally, they were 8 to 10 hour shifts. When I deployed to Afghanistan for 5-ish months, I worked 12 hours, 6 days a week. Obviously, I didn't have to prep any food. I just went to the DFAC there and I got my food, the dining facility or whatever you want to call it. But beyond that, I did have a time where I was working basically, I think it was called Panama. Felt like a lifetime ago, but I worked 12-hour shifts. I think I worked 4 on, 3 off, 3 on, 4 off, or something like that. And basically what I did is I just prepped food 2 days a week. And we even do it now in our house. Okay. I work, I work a lot of hours, but I work from home, but my wife preps food basically like 2, maybe 3 days a week. And generally it's just on her days off. She works as a nurse, right? So she cooks for not only for herself, but for the whole family. And, I don't really need to explain this in that much detail. You just cook a bunch of stuff on your day off. Now, one thing I will say is we do what we call buffet style meal prepping. This is actually what we use with our clients in Pursuit. And I think it's the best style of meal prepping. And here's why. Traditional meal prepping says, hey, you buy 100 little Tupperwares, right? Or however many, and you're going to put all your meals in them and they're just ready. I do think that's a good idea. However, the meals have to be exactly the same if you're going to be entering and tracking your food at some capacity, right? You have to like weigh out the potatoes and weigh out the green beans and weigh out the chicken or whatever you're eating, okay? And then every meal generally is around the same size. That way, when you grab a meal, you kind of know the macros of that meal, but it can get a little bit confusing. The problem with that is if you cook the same thing for 5 days or 6 days, most people on day 2 are like, I don't want to eat this again. And so it becomes challenging. And I know for me and for my clients, they were throwing away a lot of food. And I'm not discounting that method, but they were throwing away a lot of food. So what we do is we just number one, a lot of the carbs I eat is fruit and vegetables. Most of those are already prepped. You don't really need to do anything with them. Now, obviously, if you're cooking like broccoli and asparagus and whatever, but vegetables are pretty easy to prep. Fruit is already ready, so fruit is a great choice. Berries, specifically strawberries, blueberries, raspberries. You could throw them in some Greek yogurt. So you don't need to prep every single food. Meat is basically the only thing you need to prep. So when I do buffet style meal prepping, and the reason I call it buffet is because we put chicken, steak, and some type of seafood almost every single week. So it's like a buffet. I can go in the fridge and pick exactly what I want and the amount of what I want. And basically what I do is I go in the night before, right? If I were to go on shift, I'd say I'm making my lunch the night before, right? And most people would pack their lunch the night before. If you're like, I make it the morning of, bad idea, because you might wake up late, you might be in a rush, and then guess what? You resort to the fast food and the 7-Eleven. And I know you've done that before. You probably had really good intentions. Hey, I'm going to go eat really healthy, and you wake up late and you didn't bring your food or you forgot your lunch. So make it the night before. And what I basically do is I enter everything into our food tracking app or MyFitnessPal or whatever you want to use the night before. So yes, I set my alarm before I have my relaxation time. Okay, it's very important. Before I go relax, and I'm like, hey, it's, or put in my calendar, prep your food. And I just go in the fridge and I'm like, what do I feel like tomorrow? Because my taste buds change from like day to day, right? I probably want some steak and I want this. And again, I'm only prepping 1 to 2 meals, even on a 12-hour shift. Part of the reason is a lot of the things that I'm going to be taking are quick protein bars, beef jerky, Greek yogurt. Just grab it, right? It just needs to be in a lunchbox with a nice thing. So protein bars, beef jerky, Greek yogurt, apples, like banana, things that are not super processed. I guess a protein bar is, but like quick things that I can eat. Okay. Number one, I also eat a huge breakfast. So I don't need to have 5 meals while I'm there. I have generally, like, let's just say you work 6 to 6. I'd eat a huge breakfast at 4:35 a.m. I probably would be okay till like 10, maybe 11, get a good lunch. Okay. And then I'm eating again at like 4. And then by the time I get home and wind down and everything, I'm starving and I eat another meal. So really maybe 4 meals. And that's actually what I eat right now. I say meals. Some of those things are snacks. And then again, you bring things with you. The biggest mistake I saw in the military is guys that brought no food with them. So they're like, I'm not going to be hungry. And then guess what happens? Somebody brings in donuts, which happened all the time. Or somebody brings in, if you're in a nurse, somebody brings in catered food and you're like, oh. And if you didn't bring food, you're like, I'm freaking starving. I have to be able to work. I'm brain fog and I have no energy and my blood sugar's dropping. So I have to eat it. And we make this concession and we give in. And I was guilty of that. Okay. Now, obviously there's different career fields in here. You might say, well, Stefan, I can't just eat whenever I want on shift. That's probably true. I couldn't either. Dude, when I was in the military, I had to ask my, basically I was a crew chief, but the crew chief of the aircraft, I had to basically be like, sir, can I please go in for lunch? And a lot of times he's like, no, you need to wait till this flight goes. And sometimes it'd be hours and hours and hours. Or my wife is a nurse and sometimes her charge nurse is like patient after patient after patient. She might go the whole shift and not really eat. So that is why I always tell this community, get in big breakfast. If you go, well, Stefan, I'm not hungry in the morning. Generally, you're not a breakfast person because you don't eat breakfast. I used to not be a breakfast person. Now I eat breakfast. Now, if you're a late night snacker, you're probably not going to be a breakfast person because you literally are snacking, you go to sleep, and then you're eating right when you wake up. Also, your cortisol level is usually a little bit high when you wake up, and that stress hormone's there. So for most people, you're not super hungry in the morning. And what's something else we do in the morning? Caffeine, which suppresses your appetite. So just be cautious. Like, even if I'm not hungry, I eat because I know 2 hours later, I'm going to be hungry and I'm going to resort to shitty food. So understand that. Okay, now we're going to dive in. Some of the things we're prepping and some things to understand, and this is straight from our metabolism guide. I can send it to you if you want. It's like 40 pages, but I didn't make it that long. Basically, you need to understand macros. And I'm not going to go into this whole macro course, but the reason I put this right here is because you guys have to understand where your calories are coming from. A lot of the first responders I work with will do something really, really quick. And sorry if you can hear my dog barking. They'll do some like quick food that is very, very carb heavy. Oh, I grabbed a muffin and a banana. Terrible breakfast. Terrible breakfast. You just had all these carbs and sugar. You spiked your blood sugar. There was no protein to keep you full. By the way, protein's a metabolic macronutrient. It burns fat. It helps your metabolism. So you had nothing in there. And I put alcohol because, we know a lot of you guys like to drink, okay? And I'm not going to go into that, but I just pulled this straight from our guide and just put the image in there, okay? But carbs, protein, and fat, as you can see, protein and carbs have 4 calories per 1 gram. That didn't highlight very well, but 4 calories per 1 gram, as you can see, that's not helping either. It's just getting darker. But right there. So it's basically the same. If you have 20 grams of protein and 20 grams of carbs, same calories. Fat, on the other end, is over double, right? 4 times 2 is 8, and this is 9 per 1 gram. So you have to understand that fat is very high. A lot of people in the morning, believe it or not, actually don't have a lot of fat. Now, I say a lot of people, I like all 3 macronutrients in the morning. I have quite a bit of protein. Probably that's my heaviest macronutrient. I usually aim for about 50 to 60 grams of protein. I also have about 40-ish grams of carbs, and sometimes I have like 25 grams of fat. I know that seems a lot. Stefan, why do you get all your calories in the morning? Well, that's my pre-workout breakfast. I eat at 6 and I lift at like, actually sometimes I'll eat at like 8 and I'll lift at noon. So I have 3 to 4 hours, it digests. For you, the reason that this is important in getting in a lot of calories is because number 1, you might not know when you're going to eat. Number 2, if your day does turn into a shit show and it's super busy, guess what? You have all that fuel and you probably got in like a third or half of your daily protein. And the biggest thing we see as health coaches, and I promise you, I've been doing this for 13 years, is almost everybody is low on their protein until they get on a fitness program. And the reason that is detrimental to burning fat is because protein helps build muscle, and muscle is your metabolism and engine. And protein keeps you full. And another thing is you can't use protein for energy unless you're on the keto diet. When you consume protein, your body's not breaking it down for fuel. It's a recovery. You know what you're using for fuel? Fats and carbs. Fats and carbs, not the protein. So the problem is most of you guys are low on your protein. This is what happens. People wake up, they get a banana or a protein bar with 15 grams of protein, which is not enough. And they go, yeah, I had a protein bar for breakfast. And I'm like, good. And they're like, yeah, I feel really good about myself. How much protein was in it? 15 grams. Well, that's like nothing, okay? And they're like, yeah, but I didn't eat till like 4 p.m. I couldn't eat at shift. So you just had a protein bar and coffee and a Monster all day. Yeah. Okay. Well, right now at 4 p.m., you're supposed to be at about 110 grams of protein. You're at 15. And they're like, oh, crap. Yeah, that is the problem. You need to front load your protein, which means you are going to get as much of it in early on in the day. So that way, when you come home at 4 p.m. or 6 p.m., you're not like, I have 100 grams to consume. Could you do that before you went to bed? Sure. But it's probably not going to feel good on your stomach. It's probably not good on your digestive system. So you're actually going to get in the most amount of protein in the morning, and you're going to stay away from carbs as much as you can for most people. Okay. If you have like diabetes, don't listen to this, not for medical advice. I'm saying for most of our clients, they stay away from carbs. Generally, they're not having a big carb meal. You know why? Because when they get home, if you're like me, man, I'm snacking. I like to eat a little bit of chips. I like to have some toast. Maybe I'm having a sandwich at lunch. And I actually want my carbs later in the day because I don't know. I just like to eat at night. If you're a big breakfast person, whatever. And I still will have some oatmeal, like I said, 40 carbs. For me, I have like 250 carbs a day or 220 grams of carbs. But like besides that breakfast, I'm not really having a lot of carbs. That way my like late lunch or my lunch can have some, and my dinner and I could snack every night because I have dessert every night, by the way. So you might say, well, Stefan, what do I eat? Good question. So here's a protein, carbs, and fats, but I'm actually going to go per meal for you guys. And if you want this, I can send it to you. Here is a macro breakdown. So if you said, well, what's a macro? A macro is a protein, a carb, or a fat. So if you were asking, well, how do I get protein in the morning? Super easy, okay? Eggs is my go-to, eggs and steak. Eggs, ham, bacon, protein powder. You can do an isolate or a concentrate or a vegan protein. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, protein bar. Honestly, sure, you can have whatever protein source you want, but these are very, very, very easy, okay? And you can put things in them. Like I said, with the cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, you could put fruit. You could grab a protein bar. There's some that are not good. There's some that are okay. Generally, I mean, it's better than nothing, okay? But generally sticking with whole foods, or if you want a really high protein, you could do like some Greek yogurt with some berries and protein powder in. Sometimes I do that. Easy way to get 50, 60 grams. No excuse if you go, I'm not hungry in the morning. Cool. I want you to take a cup of water for 16 ounces, put 2 scoops of powder in it, mix it up with your little mixer. I have one of these little mixer things, and drink it. It's just like liquid. You could do that, right? Yeah, I guess so. Okay, there you go. You got 40 grams of protein. It's that easy, guys. It is that freaking easy. So you saying you can't get protein in the morning, no excuse. Okay, so you can see the carbs too, and then the fats. Generally, I'll get them from my eggs, fats from the other meats too. Or you can even mix in like chia seeds or hemp seeds or anything in with your Greek yogurt or your cottage cheese if you're doing fat-free or low fat. For lunch and dinner, again, these are things you're going to be prepping. The reason, let me see. I don't know why. Well, okay. So anyways, I think this got copied wrong, but it doesn't matter. Oh, no, this is right. So again, for lunch and dinner, it's not super complicated. You can have eggs. You might say, again, sure, if you want, you could do hard-boiled eggs. You could do Greek yogurt for breakfast and eggs for lunch. I mean, I'm a big breakfast guy, okay? You could do a protein powder again. You can do meat, literally any meat, beef, chicken, steak, seafood, turkey, etc. And I'll show you a list. Greek yogurt again, cottage cheese, string cheese, protein bar, like really anything. String cheese is probably not a good protein source. There's not a lot. I'm just giving you an example. Again, your carbs, oat, bread, wraps, high fiber, Ezekiel bread, which I or the wrap. Ezekiel bread I have almost every day. Low glycemic index fruits. I mean, they're not going to spike your blood sugar. Is a banana a good idea? It can be, but like you're going to actually be able to consume a lot more volume of food for less calories if you stick with strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries. That's the best type of food. It can get you shredded, okay? I know you go, well, they have a lot of sugar. There's something called the glycemic index, which means when you eat it, just because it tastes sweet doesn't actually mean it's spiking your blood sugar. So these actually spike your blood sugar less than like an apple or a banana, stuff like that. So it's not just about the macro. There's some deeper science that I won't get into. Quinoa, rice, potatoes. Well, what do I get my fats? Well, it could be from your dairy, could be from your meats. Not a lot of meats have fat in them. Could be from like chia seeds, hemp hearts, any like nuts or nut butter, peanut butter, stuff like that. You could throw some avocados in it, and then any oils that you would cook from. Okay. Snack, kind of honestly the same thing. You might have some single serving Greek yogurts, some single serving cottage cheese, some beef jerky, which I mentioned, protein, again, eggs, hard-boiled eggs, stuff like that. It's pretty easy. The carbs almost stay the same. And just when you think of snacks, it's things that you can quickly throw in your bag. Don't make it convoluted. If you go to Costco, which I should probably do a Costco haul, Costco has a bunch of really, really healthy options as far as, I hope this doesn't cover my face, has very healthy options as far as like what foods you're eating. And most of them are very quick. They're like in the freezer, in the fridge or something like that. Okay. So there's some snack suggestions. Now you might say, okay, well, is there actually something that will break down what I can actually have? Yeah, here you go. Protein. Here's just a general, because I went over that. Here's just a general guide. This is why I do buffet meal style prepping, or buffet style meal prepping. Can't talk today. And this is why with our clients, they literally have these sheets too. And I'll give them to you for free. There's no secret. It's like, you can find a protein source that you can eat. You need to, you have to, there's no choice. If you want a good physique and you want to be lean, you see all those people on Instagram that you look at, or me, and you're like, damn, that person has a good body. They all have a high protein diet, every single one of them, no suggestions. But what if they're vegan? Then they have a shitload of vegan protein powder, which I would not suggest. My personal opinion. But there's all this food, ground beef, buffalo, which I don't know, maybe not, but like it's pretty good. Chicken, cottage cheese, yogurt, we said low sugar, low fat, right? Be careful when you do yogurt. Oh, I have this Yoplait. It has like 30 grams of carbs for one little thing and 12 grams of protein. Nuh-uh. Like Greek yogurt, low fat, or I get these things called 2, like the number 2 good. They're actually made by Dannon. 2 grams of carbs. I think they're sweetened with like monk fruit or stevia. Bomb. Okay. Lobster, shrimp, crab, turkey, fish, tuna, whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate. By the way, if you want a really good protein, comment protein and I'll send you the link of the stuff that I use that I like, but I don't really care what you use. Even though I will say this, there are some protein that suck and some that are good. So if you're like, I've been looking for a good protein powder, I got you back. Carbs, here you go. Fruits, berries, and you can't eat bananas. I just put them on here. Berries, any type of berry, banana, apple, etc. You can have a mango, pineapple, doesn't matter. But Again, berries are low. When you go mango, pineapple, bananas, those are really high sugar. So just be careful. Barley, black beans. I mean, you can read all this. Take a freaking screenshot, okay? Take your picture out. These are all like what a lot of like bodybuilders or people that are trying to just eat healthy, whole foods. Now, I get it that some of these are processed. I totally understand. But we're really not looking at like this huge ingredient list, right? Like, you know, getting a burger from McDonald's, right? Or having some pasta. And I don't have like, personally, I don't do a lot of like pasta and corn. I'm not a big fan of corn, like pasta and corn and stuff like this. Do I have a lot of sweet potatoes? Yeah. Yams. I have a good amount of white rice. I have a decent amount of veggies, tons of fruit. So these are all good carbs. And then fats is actually another macronutrient that people have a really big struggle on. Okay. They'll be like, how do I get in good fats? Well, number one, mostly from animal sources. Okay. Which is going to be like unrefined butter, clarified butter, dairy sources, if you can do that. And then meats. Like, don't be afraid of steak. Oh, I have to eat chicken because it's high fat. No, you need fat in your diet, preferably from animal stuff. But if you don't want to, you can get it from olive oil, olives, almond, peanut butter, various nuts, avocado, MCT oils, which is medium chain triglycerides. It's basically all the good stuff in coconut oil. You can have unrefined, cold pressed coconut oil, preferably grass-fed, grass-finished beef, just because this is the highest quality. Lamb, sardine, wild-caught salmon, egg yolks, one of the best sources. I get cage-free eggs. When I have my eggs in the morning, that shit is so good to boost testosterone and to help your cholesterol, healthy cholesterol. I know on the back of the egg, it's like, oh, one egg, 66%. It's not going to kill you, okay? Don't pay too much attention to those dietary guidelines on the back of labels, by the way, and I could do another training on that. But you're okay. Every morning I have 2 to 3 egg yolks for the last however many years. Beautiful panels, okay? Obviously, don't go against the medical advice if your doctor said don't have eggs, but like they're not going to, dietary cholesterol doesn't necessarily make your cholesterol in your body go up when you take a blood test. Butter, ghee, flaxseed, chia seed. Okay. So, and I'm not going to get into the food timing too much. So now, guys, you have a pretty good some good recommendations of what to eat. You can basically look at this and say, what foods do I like? And those are the things you cook. One piece of advice, very important. A lot of you guys ask for recipes. I'm not saying don't make them, but it actually becomes extremely hard to track your food when you do a recipe. Do you know why? If you have a slice of lasagna, what's the macros for that? How much protein, carbs, and fats does it have? It's basically impossible. The answer is it's almost impossible to measure because all your proteins, carbs, and fats are meshed together, mixed, whatever. So it's really challenging versus if you sit there and you have like a piece of steak and a sweet potato and then a vegetable, or even if you had your pasta and then your meat and your sauce and everything was separate, you can measure it and you could track it. And you might say, well, I don't really want to track my food. I really, truly believe that every single person on this planet should track their food, weigh it out, measure it, and everything for a minimum of 60 days. Because you don't know what you're putting in your body and you don't know the amounts. You might say you eat healthy, but actually losing body fat and keeping it off isn't necessarily just about eating healthy. It's about eating the right amounts, right? And so if you don't know what you're putting in your body and you're just mindlessly eating and kind of guessing, that's exactly why, because you're doing kind of random, right? Like I think, well, that's why you have results that are random and not that good. You need to calibrate your eyeballs and be like, oh, wow, this chicken breast is probably 50 grams of protein. If I give you a chicken breast right now and you hold it in your hand, you probably have no idea how much protein. You could probably take a guess, but all that inaccuracy adds up, and that's how people slowly gain weight. I don't like 5 pounds here, 5 pounds here, 5 pounds here. There's no tracking. And I always tell people calories are like money. If you never logged into your bank, you probably wouldn't know how much money you have. You got to kind of like check on things, right? It's like checking on your physique. If you never looked at the price tag of everything and you just swiped your card and bought stuff, that would be very dangerous. But that's what people do. They go, ooh, that looks like it's going to taste good. Okay. There's no regulation. You guys are just eating mindlessly and you have no idea what's actually going in your body. And when I say you guys, I know it's not everybody, but that is the case. You have to be able to be like, I bet you it's around this, even if it's a guesstimate, but like, what are you going off of? What's that baseline you're doing the guesstimate off? If you never track your food ever, you have no idea. You don't know. Okay. Now I know that some stuff has labels, but you're not probably this mathematician whiz where you're like, okay, I ate a Greek yogurt at this much and these were the exact macros and then this. No, put it in your phone. Your phone's with you all the time, right? And again, this doesn't have to be a forever thing. Will you have better results if you track your food every day? Yes. Now, last statement, then I'll let you guys go because I know you've been on for a while if you've been watching this whole thing, and I appreciate it. If you're not willing to prep food and bring snacks with you, whatever, you will continue to struggle to stay in shape. Every single person that I know, and it doesn't have to be every day, and it's not every meal. You eat your breakfast at home. You have maybe 2 meals. Maybe you say, I'm going to eat my breakfast at home. I'm going to bring some snacks, and I'm going to go to Chipotle, and then I'm going to eat dinner when I get home. Yeah, you could do that. So really, I guess all you're prepping is the snacks. Should you do that every day? I mean, you can. I don't want to eat freaking Chipotle 5 days a week, and I like Chipotle. But like, could you eat healthy and eating out? Yes. But you need a plan. Plan ahead. And you don't always have to go eat out. Anytime you eat out, even though Chipotle I wouldn't do the burrito. That tortilla is like a ton of calories. But even though you could do a Chipotle and it could be a healthy option, anywhere you go, like semi-fast food or sit-down restaurants are always going to have lower quality food generally than what you're going to cook at home. And it's cheaper. I promise you it's cheaper to eat at home. And, I've had some clients be like, I don't like leftovers. I won't do leftovers. Then don't meal prep. But you're the only other thing you can do when you work this job and you work 12-hour shifts and you got to eat is you have to go out and get something to eat. And we have in our program, we have like a fast food guide and all that stuff. So you can pick what's the healthiest at Taco Bell or Subway or all those things for our active clients. But it's also figuring out like, what am I going to eat throughout the day? The reason I say to enter it in and track it, because this is the biggest key. All you're going to do is wake up and you're going to eat your food. And you don't have to enter everything. You might say, well, Coach Stefan, you just told me I had to enter my food and I should be tracking it. You are. But remember when I told you previously that you're going to do it the night before? That is the power. The power is you already entered everything that you're supposed to eat the night before. So when you grab your lunchbox, everything's already in your phone, in MyFitnessPal or whatever tracking app you use, as you already ate it. And then all you have to do is eat your food. Everything's already in there. You already weighed it out. You already measured it. It took you 10 freaking minutes. If you can watch 2 hours of Netflix, you can take 10 damn minutes out of your day. No excuses. You can enter your food and weigh it out and measure it and do everything you need to do the night before. It's not that hard. And that tool is very powerful because then you're not like, you don't have to weigh anything out or measure anything. You just like eat your food and you can eat half now and half later. And you can eat like a couple bites of the sandwich now and then the rest of it later. And you don't have to like go back in your phone and re-enter it because you already entered it. You might say, well, Coach Stefan, what if I don't eat all of it? Well, then you go back in and adjust it when you freaking get home, which takes you another 30 seconds. That's it. It's a very easy method. And if you guys can do that, you can stay consistent. This is how I track my food every day for an entire year because I entered it the day before. And yeah, it was a little more work and sometimes I didn't want to do it, but I knew that it was going to make my life way, way, way easier. And did sometimes I enter some food on the fly when I got home and I was like, oh, I want that. And it wasn't in there. Sure. But it's the most accurate way. So you have to prep, you have to track. And if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, that sounds like a lot of work and this is not what I want to do, I really, truly believe that you might struggle. The only other thing you could do is you can follow nutritional constructs. If you want to listen, I have a podcast episode about nutritional constructs, which is what I do when I don't track my food because I don't right now. I'll be really transparent with you guys. Not here to be honest with you. I don't track my food right now, but I did for a long time and I earned the right not to track because I calibrated my eyeballs and now I can keep a 6-pack all year long without entering anything into any food tracking app because I've developed the skill, but I had to put in the work to develop the skill. And I'll drop the word podcast and I'll send it to you, or maybe I'll just drop the link here. But it's a really good, it talks a lot more in depth. And I know this is a 30-minute training, so I'm going to let you guys go. But like, again, there's a guide right here. You can use this. I'll give this to you for free. There's no strings attached. Take it. Okay. That way you kind of know to pick and choose and you can make your own meals and you don't need a fancy meal plan. You can literally just pick. And the thing is, as you cook these and you start entering them into MyFitnessPal or into our app has an internal food tracking app with our clients, you're going to sit there and be like, oh, wow, if I eat this, this kind of fills up my macro. Oh, and if I eat this for my breakfast, it helps me do this. And so anything you do nutritionally is an experimentation process to see what fits best for you, which is why in our program, we don't do a one track fits all. We're not like, oh, this is the meal plan that everybody follows and blah, blah, blah. No, we're like, what works for you? And at first you might say, well, I don't know. Well, yeah, but that's why you work one-on-one extensively and closely with a coach until we can develop a meal strategy that works best for your lifestyle, your schedule. And this is just a framework. These are just like the building blocks to help you do it. So hopefully this was helpful. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll get to some of those comments later. Again, if you want the guide, just comment guide and I will send it to you. And then I will just drop the podcast link in here below if you guys want to listen to this specific episode. I think we have like almost 80 episodes right now, but this one's pretty good because it talks about what I do to be successful with my food journey without tracking eventually, right? So I appreciate it, guys.